We're going to talk about the movies of 2016 that we refused to watch. Didn't even give it a chance because the premise pissed us off. And the first one we're going to talk about is Ghostbusters because, let's face it, you don't fuck with the original. Has nothing to do with them being women. I'm tired of hearing that bullshit. It has everything to do with you had a fucking witty movie that was well done, and you took it and basically gave it to the equivalent of the Three Stooges.
Well,
and dumbed it down and thought slapstick humor could replace the wit humor that was originally there.
And you could tell the tone was so fucked just from the trailers. Like, everything they were saying in the trailers, it just felt so different from the original Ghostbusters. It just felt so off.
The original Ghostbusters was a witty movie.
Yeah.
Did it have some lowbrow jokes like Dan Aykroyd getting a blowjob from a ghost? Yeah, it did, but the overall tone of it was witty. Now, when you looked at the trailer, like, I just pictured Mo, Larry, and Curly going whoop, 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 whoop,
I think that comedy remakes in general are pretty shit. Like, they're remaking Bill and Ted's apparently right now,
God
but
damn
it's
it.
like, when you have a comedies are very time sensitive. The era they come out is huge. Ghostbusters came out in a very particular time, and now it was 2016. How are you going to make a movie like decades later and expect it to perform like the classics? And that segues into Zoolander too. Like, 10 years! More than 10 years later!
I'll give Zoolander credit. I will not watch it because it's too late. It's the time has passed.
It's way too late.
And I don't want to risk ruining the original Zoolander because you know what? It was dumb,
Yeah.
but it was funny as shit.
But the marketing team, what is the thought process going into that? The people who loved the original Zoolander are now like 10 years older, which means the immature jokes that they loved when they were middle schoolers watching the movie are not going to land anymore, and you're not going to pull in a new audience because they don't know what the hell Zoolander is.
At the original Zoolander, you were watching actors who were in their late 20s, early 30s pulling off jokes for early 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
Now we're watching actors who are in their 40s and 50s pulling off jokes for 35, 40-year-olds. And it's kind of like...
And they've evolved as comedians as well.
They have.
Their humor is not going to be the same that it was when they made that in the first place.
I mean, Ben Stiller... it's definitely a children's movie with Night at the Museum.
Yeah.
But the kind of humor that he's bringing to a movie is a lot different than when he was doing Zoolander and Along Came Polly. I mean, he's evolved. And don't get me wrong, Meet the Fockers, another symbolism of his evolution.
He went into a very good awkward...
Evolution.
He went into a very good awkward type of comedy, and that Zoolander is just immature, sexual, weird innuendos.
And that's the thing, is he did what a lot of comedy actors do at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, like Sacha Baron Cohen. You know,
Adam Sandler did that too.
Exactly. And like that's where you see like Sacha Baron Cohen's career is actually starting to suffer because he's not evolving.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Exactly. He has not changed much, and he's struggled to kind of keep his nuance going, whereas Ben Stiller has done well. He's maintained himself, but he's done that by changing.
Exactly.
And Zoolander is a return to a very primitive Ben Stiller.
Now, don't get me wrong. I would have appreciated the Zoolander sequel 10 years ago.
Yeah, maybe a couple years after. So what was the next one? So you got...
Oh, fuck, no.
Independence Day.
Yes,
Oh,
Independence
God.
Day.
Another one. You're waiting too damn long.
Exactly. That actually would have been a great movie. Maybe you say, we take the... Because the whole movie's premise that we're going to fight back with the technology we stole from them when we beat them.
Yeah.
Now, that would have been a great movie if you made it like a year or two after. Maybe we're coming to them or something. You could have made it interesting and gotten a lot of angles. But, I mean, now you got half the cast is old as shit now. Yeah. And you don't even get Will Smith back.
Yeah, you just lost a lot of parts of that made it great. I mean, let's be honest. When they made that movie, the original, they didn't think it was going to be great.
No.
And then
they thought
it
was
ended
going to
up...
be a decent action movie.
Yeah, it was just a
turned out to be
standard
cult
action
classic.
movie, and it turned out to be much more than what people thought.
Mm-hmm.
But now, you're not going to be able to recapture...
That speech at the end of that movie is
it's
one of the
great,
best
absolutely.
speeches in a movie,
Yeah.
and had that been a more dramatic movie, it probably would have won an award on that speech.
Very possible. So, but what happened is a lot of things just kind of fell right when they made the original movie. And when you remake a movie like that, it's just, you're going to come off like a cash grab, and it's not going to excite people, and it's just not going to be good. You're not going to be able to recapture what
No.
you had.
I mean, and you also got to think the timing of that movie was perfect, because when you think about it, you have Will Smith, who is not in his peak, but he's encroaching on it. That says he's
Yeah.
working his way up with Men in Black and working his way
Yeah.
up to
Yeah, he was
to
on
the top.
his rise.
And,
But
and then you also got the other guy,
Gold the Balloon.
yes, who is not a great
He
leading
has,
actor.
He has not maintained that.
He is not,
since-
but he is actually an underrated
Yeah,
and phenomenal
yeah. Mm-hmm.
supporting actor, because he's not in a whole lot, but there's never anything I see him in that I'm disappointed.
Well, here's the thing. So you have those three movies, and what's the common thing? You waited a long, long time to make a sequel.
I mean, Ghostbusters has been like, what,
Oh,
30
God.
years?
And this isn't going to be popular. And Ghostbusters it's not technically a remake, but it's like a reimagining is the way they marketed it. I think Independence Day and maybe even Zoolander might have actually been better if they just remade them rather than making sequels 10 years later. And I don't think either one of those would be good, but I think you would have had a better chance.
You
at
see,
it being
I don't
good.
think you ever have a chance at remaking a good movie. You can remake a
The
shitty
Departed
movie.
is technically a remake. So
But that's
it
the
can
thing
be
is, the
done.
first one wasn't popular enough to hold people's attention.
Well, I mean, they're making them so far apart from each other, but there's a lot of movies that you don't think of as remakes that are remakes.
But
so
that's the thing,
That's
is their originals weren't
Right.
important. What I'm saying is you can take a great movie idea that was a shitty movie,
Yeah.
and you can remake it, because you know what? Why let a good idea fall by the wayside because an
Exactly, yeah.
idiot fucking had it in his hand?
And well, I like reimaginings. I like remakes based on the same source, but it goes different directions. So that way, if you know the original, it's at least going to go a different way. Like I Am Legend kind of did that. It's following a very similar narrative, but they changed a bunch of things in Will Smith's version. And I thought that kind of, it makes more of a reason to watch it. So in summary, we did a great job because we didn't pay any fucking money for those three movies.
Yep.
Did you guys pay money for those? And did anybody actually like any of those three movies?
You know what? I'm going to touch on the Ghostbusters thing once more. I mean, when you look at it, they have some similarities. Both movies, I mean, Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray were both on SNL.
Yep.
The entire cast of the new movie were from SNL. The difference is that when Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray and their assisted cast, who were not from SNL, went there, they did a movie that was witty and intelligent and funny.
Yeah.
When you even just watch the trailer to the new Ghostbusters, it looks like an SNL skit.
Yeah, it
which-
really does. The tone is lost.
And that's the thing is, you know what? SNL, I like SNL. I actually like the current cast, minus a couple of the people. But you know what? They're talented, they do a good job. But those skits are funny
Yeah.
for 5 minutes.
Yep.
Not for 2 hours.
I agree. 100%. So let us know if anybody actually liked any of those. I think it would be an interesting conversation.
Can I say something a little edgy? Would you be opposed to
I'll
that?
cut it out if I don't like it.
All right. Leslie Jones, I'm tired of you accusing us for not liking your movie as an act of racism. It's just the movie sucked.